What is it that's so funny about this series? Because to me, I find it the most incredible ever documentary I've ever seen, for showing some revealing things that I've ever seen on a documentary.
Well, let me give you the backstory. Let me give you the backstory and bring you up to speed on how the series came about and what was going on.
Right.
German television approached me and they said, we would like to do a series on UFOs. German television approached me and they said, we would like to do a series on UFOs. German television approached me and they said, we would like to do a series on UFOs.
The Nazis and the Masons. The Nazis and the Masons. The Nazis and the Masons. The Nazis and the Masons.
And I said, well, you know, I've been wanting to basically do a series that brings everybody up to current. Here is what we know.
EnterpriseMission.com.
Richard Hoagland,
a member of our team of intelligence.
Here are the areas that we don't know that are still gray.
Face on Mars, mysterious pictures.
Probably won't have any conclusions to speak of, but what it's going to be is just the latest on every one of the UFO phenomena, every one of the events of UFOs.
UFO Diaries.
From Roswell to Kecksburg to
the region designated as Sidonia.
On and on and on.
Right.
And this is the very latest information that is known at the time. And I'd like to call it UFO Diaries, because that's what it is. It's basically a diary of everything we know at that point. Now, this was, you know, in, I think, around 1990. Basically a diary of everything we know at that point in 1990.
Well, it had to have been after the Mars Observer loss. That was in 93. It was launched in 92. The loss was in 93.
The way series goes is, you know, you talk about them in 1990 and they finally get all done in 93. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was the talk that we had, and they finally said that they would like to do that. And we did it in two versions. I did a, what you call an American or English version, and I used Michael Flynn was the host, who's been the host in many of my shows up until right now. He's been the host of many of my shows. And the Germans brought in some German guy who is big in German television that was interested in UFOs, and they did the German version sort of side by side with us.
The Nazis and the Masons. The Nazis and the Masons. The Nazis and the Masons. The Nazis and the Masons.
I never really understood what he was saying because he was always talking in German, and you know, and so we sort of did ours and they did theirs. But we did all the research and all the compilation, talked to all of the experts of the day, and I mean there are more now, but and the technology is much better now. But we did talk to the experts of the day, and I felt that we put out 13 episodes on 13 UFO subjects that gave the audience a clear picture of the whole UFO spectrum, from the first one spotted in the 40s to the major events like Roswell and Kecksburg to Area 51 to some of the other events.
In the region designated as Sidonia.
I don't believe Phoenix had happened at that point. That came later. Some of those other things.
Martian revelation.
Mysterious pictures.
But anyway, that was the genesis of the show. And Joe Stedich was the art director on the show, worked under Bill Cornford, who was a production designer. And Lee Shackelford and I forget, Joe Meyer, one other writer of my writers, the three of us wrote every one of the episodes. And we had a couple of researchers working for us, and we also had a footage researcher, a gal who dug deep into government files, and I mean, we were...
Stephanie Burnett?
I believe it was. I haven't seen her in years. But anyway, the budget was not a large budget. My memory is it was like $80,000 an episode, which is very small money for this sort of stuff. I don't think I could repeat it today by far. Probably be 10 times that. But anyway, you know, we did them on crop circles. We did them on a variety of things. And we flew in many of the experts in, photographed them in Salt Lake City, Those that we couldn't get to fly in, I think we made 2 or 3 trips out and interviewed and photographed the experts that couldn't come to us.
You dick.
Hoagland.
But even those documents, when it comes to the actual technologies that they were involved in.
Richard Hoagland, Buttress. Richard Hoagland,
a member of our team of intelligence.
These really cutting-edge technologies
in the region designated as Sidonia,
are very ambiguous. They can be interpreted in several ways. Now, I think in part it's because the good stuff has not been released yet, or it hasn't even been found yet.
Right.
There are mysterious deaths associated with some of this documentation.
I sent a crew to Area 51, and that's the place. That's the place. Now, you know, it varies. I've been to several of the international UFO congresses where they've had employees from Area 51 to totally detail their days and meeting with people from outer space and working on spacecraft and all kinds of things. So, I mean, it's varied as to everything from, what the heck's that vehicle that the military is supposed to be working on, a very, very advanced vehicle that's probably the one that they saw, or was it Aurora?
Yeah.
Aurora, yeah, that they probably saw over Phoenix that time. But, I mean...
Well, that would be huge. That would be huge.
Again, though, well, you say, well, what takes a 20,000-foot runway, you know?
Oh, good point.
Again, Area 51, to me, has the same kinds of possible
UFO diaries.
Answers. It could be totally terrestrial,
yeah,
or it could be extraterrestrial, or it could be that they've discovered dimensions and they're going between dimensions. All three work there as well.
Yes, and therefore the acclamation of Stargate. Get us used to an idea.
Oh, yeah, you know, we could, our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is. Our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is. Our technology could be just a lot smarter than we think it is, and it might not be extraterrestrials at all. And I think one's got to keep an open mind and realize that they could be using that
UFO diaries in the region designated as Sidonia
for years to divert Russia and divert our attention and everybody else's attention from what they're really doing. So, you know, it is one of 3 possibilities.
Or all converged. I don't know. And that's the bigger mystery of it all. And again, through this amazing series, at least through what I've seen of it, Sidonia Connection was the most fantastic in my opinion, and for many reasons, to which even people, you know, that are following kind of what I believe I've found in that show, is the new faces of Mars and pictures plastered on walls and even moved around in sequence at times to correlate with the host was walking and pointing to which these faces seem to appear as having a code applied to them.
You know, it's exactly that kind of thing that really started to convince me that some of the conspiracy and cover-up stories that we were doing on the show actually had more meat to them than I thought they did.
Yes.
Accessing data. Affirmative.
But certainly because of that, you can understand why I got interested in you in the first place to seek you out. You know, it really drove home to me like you would be the one I would need to talk to, and certainly you can see reasons why.
But you know, you put your finger right on it. Those are the things that I've always interested in. What's going on behind the surface of the things that we can see? You know, those are the stories that he's always been interested in telling. And so UFO Diaries was a real natural.
The fascination of the faces on Mars for me, and my fascination with Richard Hoagland, who's been the big mover and shaker in all of that. Point is that the faces on Mars appearing to be pyramids as well.
Yes.
Really fascinated me and really got my attention, because what caused all this pyramid building at these different cultures and these different spots? But so, you know, I find that very, very fascinating, and I think it's all tied together